Hi, this is the Forest Daughter, and I wanted to introduce you to my newest journal called Wild Woods with Collage. It has 4 signatures, a beautiful batik fabric I've chosen to leave undecorated so that the journal lies flat. Let's get into some of the basic details here. This journal is 9 inches or 23 centimeters tall, 6 3/4 or 17 centimeters wide, and the spine width here is 2.5 inches or 7 centimeters. The main image that started this journey for me is this elf in the late summer sunlight. It's by InkandPageJournals. Let's get that right. I want to give her credit. And it's a series called Wild Magic Add-ons, and I've used it for most of the tags in this book. This has been glued to some beautiful green folder material. I got a whole stack of folders from a thrift shop and I've been cutting them up and using them. It has been varnished with matte varnish polyurethane so that you can touch it and it won't wear out. This has been hand glued onto fabric that I frayed myself and stitched onto the batik fabric. The strip down the side here, I don't know if you can see this. This is a owl with the most magnificent dragon tail, and then a crow, and then some leaves in the fall that have started to change. I hand stitched a row of tiny golden glass beads, Toho beads, by poking holes in the cardstock with a thumbtack and just stitching. The bee on here is from a Defemember kit. It's a post by 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel on YouTube. They have a prompt series every December, and that was one of the freebies in the kit. Up here at the top, these coins, paper coins, I have made by gluing an image onto, in this case, a brown solid paper with a thin layer of cardboard in the center and then polyurethane them so they clink on bronze chain that's been sturdily stitched onto the cover. Up here, let's see if I can shake them down, are a whole series of key charms on wooden beads with a ceramic bead in the center that picks up these colors down here on leather. So it's fun to play with once you get it open. The tie I made myself. It's just a cotton fabric. I folded in half, wrong side to wrong side, stitched a long skinny rectangle, turned it inside out, and it became a belt tie. Just go through eyelets, and they're tied on the back side with a lot of room so that you can let this gator mouth. It does a little bit of one. I think it'll settle down some, but don't be afraid to fill it full of all your wonderful things. I'm gonna flip this open using a box here so that I can hold up the pages and adjust this a little bit here so I get both pages in, or most of both pages. I think this light here may be too bright. Let's see. It's not making much of a difference. I'll point it up. Okay, the back side, or the inside cover, is a wonderful design called the Herbal Witch Kit, and I have used this a lot. You will really enjoy it, I hope. I split it in half, and it is also polyurethane, so this cover can be handled. When I print a lot of a solid dark color, the ink tends to rub off if you handle it a lot, and I didn't want it to do that. The Herbal Witch Kit is by AmyJoyStudios. I get all of my digitals on Etsy. This is an agate stone that's been colored and etched with some patterns, and it's tied to the back side of the leather. The binding itself is a really pretty chestnut Aida cross-stitch fabric. And it is a free-floating spine. I got beads hanging out everywhere here. It's a free-floating spine, which means the signatures are stitched onto fabric that is glued into the cover. And at the top here, I've added a little layer of fringe and a pretty calico with red berries. And it's also on the bottom. With the sirens in the background. So let's get started. I'm gonna sit down here so I can discuss this a little easier. Try to raise my voice so you can hear me. This has another little coin with a white bird. And this paper is by FableJournal. I use it a lot, I love it. It's called Medieval Prayer. It's a set of 2 pages of a medieval manuscript. So it's written in Latin and it's done in calligraphy, and the pages are faded just perfectly to work with all the tea-dyed paper that I use in my book. Almost every page in here, maybe excepting the centerfolds, has been hand-torn and tea-dyed. There are collages down the edge of every page except the centerfold, and those usually have 6 to 15 little hand-torn pieces of paper glued together, and for that I use Elmers Glue-All. It is a little thicker than school glue, which means it doesn't soak through thin papers and warp them too much. It still allows you to move them around a little bit, but it dries a lot faster. And the cleanup is so easy, just a damp cloth. The fabric on the cover is glued on with Quick Dry Fabric Fusion by Aleene's. I find this dries so much faster than other brands. It's not easy to clean off your hands, but it is very secure once it has dried. So I highly recommend that. I got both of these at Michael's, believe it or not. The binding to hold the book together is bookbinding tape, and the cardboard itself, the cardboard I like the best is Costco's coffee cups, the little pods, cardboard boxes. It's really sturdy, but it's not too thin or too thick. So if you can find that, give it a try. So I'm gonna try to list all the sources in the description, but there were a lot of them. This is a little tag, and I kept the edge here like a wild cut or a free cut. Just room to write. These little tags are perfect for wishes, spells, words, poetry, your favorite meal. It can be anything. It could be your day at the park. What did you notice? So here we have an example of the tea-dyed paper that turned out dark. I use a paper that is thicker than a copy paper. I believe it's 78-pound uncoated ivory, but I'm having trouble finding it anywhere. I got my first batch at a thrift store, my second batch at my FedEx copy store, print to go, but they haven't had it. This is heavy duty brown wrapping paper with a nice crinkle. The designs in here that are torn mushroom shapes are from a kit that I've used a lot in the collages. It's called Fantasy Mushrooms by JournalJoyWorkshop. And again, the tags are almost all ink and page journal, Wild Magic. Try to leave a space to write on the back of every card. This one, if you look close, I don't know if I can get it in focus, is a wizard and the late fall sunlight, my favorite time of the year. The paper strips are from a lot of the paper design strips. The pattern ones are from the Wood Elf paper kit, and that's by DigitalScrapHelper. Here's an ogre, I believe. And if you look really carefully, he's sporting little tiny skulls. Thought that was kind of cool. Here we have a wild boar that looks like Frere's boar, Golden Bursty to me, golden bristles. Decorated the edges with some torn strips. Left room to write on the back, and just paper clipped it on. I have tried to waterfall stack a lot of the pages so that the collage edges all show up together. The decorative strips are from VeriePear's Sacred Pagan kit. The imagery, I have printed that out on cardstock, and it makes wonderful strips and bookmarks and little things. Really nice kit to have. Here are two of the strips with birds at the top. Room to write on the back. And these are little Indian bells. They have a nice jingle. I love these big berries. These big berry photos are from a dark forest kit, and I'll put in the description who does that kit. But they look like fairy tales to me. I've added the flower and the decorative border. And this is the centerfold of the first signature. This is the Wood Elf kit. And again, that's by DigitalScrapHelper. Because it's got a lot of dark colors and the ink can rub off, I have sealed these with the matte polyurethane varnish. That's really easy to find. It's just DuraClear matte varnish. I get it at Michael's. It's not very expensive and it's very easy to use. All of the signature pages have fudge muffins. I sound like 45. Coordinating DMC floss and are hand beaded. Another one of the fairy tale beaded pages. Sorry, fairy tale berry pages. Just a couple of pages here. And then I hand lined pages using a bamboo dip pen and shallow ink, and I use a dark brown. And then I let it kind of run out so that the lines fade in and out. And I just use a ruler and guesstimate where the lines go. There's nothing fancy. Again, from the Wild Magic kit. This one's got a little tag. And some dark writing space. I would recommend pencil, which will show up silvery, or a gold permanent marker, fine tip. I bet some gel pens would work on it too. I'm not as familiar with those. I just cut strips out of more of the Wood Elf kit and use that for interest. Let me get this lifted a little bit so you can see how many color strips are in the edges. It's a pocket full of 3 tags. This one is from one of the Wood Elf kits and it's polyurethane, nice and sturdy. Little extra pages that you can write a lot on. And this just slips in and over the tiny belly band. I have used a mix of Toho and check beads to pick up the colors. It's one from the Wild Magic kit. And the unicorn is from LianaScrap, her Golden Forest kit. We skip a page? No. Okay, this beautiful magic forest design with lots of lines and hidden spaces, rich oranges and olive greens, is by VeriePear. It's Fantasy Forest. Here are another set of tags. I had fun playing with golds and grays on this one. When I do the tag tops, I sometimes like to do that instead of tying strings or decorative ribbon on them. I usually fold a solid color and then a decorative strip on top. They give a feeling of cigar wrappers, which the rings, and I think that's just interesting. And then these are really sturdy. They're on a file folder and centered in that. I tried different color patterns for the edges. Tried to get them to stack pretty. Cool. Window dots. Here I took one of the box here. I took one of the designs from VeriePear Sacred Pagan and echoed it on my own, cutting out circles so the pages would tie together. You can see this has got windows on this side, and over here a decorative strip of thistle. Another set of tags for my two forest ladies in green, stacked. Another little piece of folded paper to write on. This has little beads. They're check beads that have one side sliced off, so some of the colors can come through and reflect light. Little spaces to write. I've got strips of golden trees worked in this one. That's from Momentrees, M-O-M-E-N-T-R-E-E-S. I believe that's from Garden of Eden. Pages that I did a little fussy cutting on some of those decorative woodland papers. And again, just the bamboo dip pen in shallow ink so that it would run out. Here's the center of the second signature, another wood elf design. I have polyurethaned it because it's a lot of dark color that could rub off. I want you to be able to enjoy and touch these journals. So this is left undecorated, the centerfold, so that you can meditate or daydream with them. Of course, you're free to do whatever else you'd like to if you do want to put something else on them. There's a decorative beads on a soft blue gray. Okay, this is just a simple decorated baby binder clip. I hand frayed some fabric, and it's a little bit of seam binding. Inside of this one is a stack of cards or tags loosely tied together so that you can flip them. It's not knotted. You can take them out and make them easy to write on. It's a series from the Magic add-on, Wild Magic add-on. Then I found a little unicorn that's also by Momentrees, and a piece of a folder for presenting awards that's already been embossed. I didn't do that, it came that way. And the backs are decorated with little pieces of flowers and berries. Tie that thing together. Then this is a whole page that comes out. Decorated borders and lined on the back. Trying to make everything easy to use. This has some really pretty tea dyeing, so I just picked up the subtle browns. This is actually old typing paper, and it has watermarks in it. And it's crinkly. I got two pockets here. This is another card from LianaScrap's Golden Forest Kit. Just some crumpled seam binding. Room to write. Yeah, easy to use, she says. Yeah. So lots of decorative color strips on these. This was a labor of love for sure. This is a nice bold page. This is part of that fantasy mushroom kit. And this is from InkandPageJournals Curiosity Cabinet of Curiosities. And I just echoed some of the design on the top. Inside there's a little piece of decorated paper. I don't know what you could write on something this little. You can either write tiny, I'm sure you can come up with something. Nice firm cards. Again, the double stack that gives the cigar wrapper feel. Another summer elf. This is an unevenly folded design from the Fantasy Mushroom Kit. Okay, this is the end of the second signature. Kind of went all out. Here's more of that, the VeriePear Fantasy Forest. And this flips over. I love, I don't know if I got the lighting where I can show you this, but he's got either tattoo or coloration to help him hide in the woods. Long dreads. It's one of my favorites. And I tore the paper on the pocket uneven so that his face would peek out. This is another watercolor forest kit by ToukyDesigns. She did some of the birds and berries, and I just very carefully fussy cut it and glued it onto a tan paper. Did a little black ink doodling. More hidden places to write. This is a pocket made out of a paper bag. I left it big enough to put a lot of stuff in. Here's the same little gnome guy with his skulls decorating him. So I added a skull on this side. This one opens this way. This one is just tied with twine. If I can find the endings. And this one opens this way with writing space. A little fussy cutting with the leaves. Another tied with lines tag, and a little tiny miniature tag in its own little mini pocket. This is a little piece of art paper, a bit of watercolor texture to it. This is a piece of tea-dyed paper that wasn't submerged completely in my roasting pan full of tea, so it sucked up the tea in pretty patterns. Okay, the third centerpiece, always matte varnished with these bright colors, and these beads are some shiny iridescent greens and whites on a cream colored floss. More tags. This is old scrap paper I had from a wine kit. And this is one of the magic add-on tags, wild magic add-on tags. A little more doodling, lined paper. It's a ToukyDesign birds and berries. Played with the same colors on this strip here. These are the Blackberry and Floral kit, which I'll list in there. A lighter colored tea stain paper. This is the watercolor forest by ToukyDesigns, and this castle was printed out on salmon colored copy paper. It's the Enchanted Forest by Wild Sunflower, the Wild Sunflower 1233. Here's a little stack of pages, waterfall to give you patterns. It's a set of tags. I wanted them to stack so you could see both faces, and to do that I had to glue this on a larger piece of paper. Both have writing space. Nothing complicated or fancy, but I thought it was really pretty. Lined page again. It's a forest house. This one says musing in secret. Goes in its own little pocket. Maybe. There we go. This is just more paper that I had tea-dyed, and I really like how one side was darker than the other. So when I folded it, you get the color differentiation. and played with the circles here. Kind of ties it together. And then this back piece is just that decorative backing paper by DigitalScrapHelper for the Wood Elves kits. The center fold on this is another one from the Herbal Witch. And the ties on this play subtly. They're shiny black, iridescent black, a little bit of turquoise blue, and a little bit of apple green on a really dark green floss. It's kind of neat. It's got an owl hidden here and a woman fortune teller. It almost looks like she's wearing a squash blossom or decorative jewelry. A little bit of an iron fence, maybe, some crystals. Just a nice piece to lose yourself in. So again, all these edges and strips were hand torn. A little stack. This folds open. A lot of room for you to tuck your own things in. This is another Enchanted Forest by the Wild Sunflower 1233. So thanks for hanging with me. I'll see if I can adjust the color a little bit. It's really quite beautiful in real life. Just for some reason, the lighting in here isn't doing it justice. Join me next time, and I will get this up on my Etsy shop. Thanks.